A new bundle has released into Conan Exiles, the Liu Fei Companion Set, with the sorceress theme, but at a cost. Is this worth summoning your hard-earned money for? Today, we'll find out. Firstly, a disclaimer: this set was gifted to me by Funcom. Just like all my other reviews, that will in no way affect my opinions of this set, nor will it affect my recommendation or lack thereof. So without further ado, let's get started. The Liu Fei Companion Bundle comes in 1,834 Crom Coins, equivalent to $15.28, so we'll call it 15 bucks. The bundle contains the following items: the Khitan Demon Caller Armour, the Demon Caller Arcane Staff, the Sorcerer's Scrying Orb, the Firebowl Cauldron Skin, the Incense Burner Placeable, and 2 Liu Fei themed foreground and background emblems. So let's start with the simple things and work our way up. The emblem icons are pretty self-explanatory: a Chinese-inspired background pattern and a demon face design as the foreground. They work together. It can look a little messy at a distance and it lacks any real contrast in terms of line thickness, but closer up, it's alright. They just don't seem to gel as well as some other options. The background itself is probably the weakest part, as it unfortunately doesn't work well with lots of different foreground icons. Some are decent, but most either don't fit at all or just don't work as harmoniously as they could. The foreground icon, however, is much better, working anywhere from decently to great with a bunch of different options. I really like the plain circle background with this foreground icon, but then again, the plain circle kind of works with almost everything. The emblems are overall okay. They kind of work together and have some flexibility, but they're not as good as some icons from other bundles. Next, the Khitan Incense Burner. This is a small tabletop placeable made mostly of gold, interlaced with some rich purple and red tones. The burner lets off a ton of smoke compared to its size, and captures the sorceress inspiration well. It definitely stands out in most settings and makes for a really great tabletop decoration. Overall, rather good. The Scrying Orb is another tabletop decoration, a little larger than the Incense Burner. It consists of a large quartz-like orb nestled into a golden housing with a gold and red plinth. It's quite nicely made, definitely something good for the crystal fans, but it does feel like they could have done something more with this. As a decoration, honestly, it's fine, but I would have liked to see some sort of interaction or effect given its sorceress themes. Not bad at all. In fact, I'd say it's quite good, but it does feel like a little bit of a missed opportunity. The Khitan Firebowl Cauldron is a reskin of the base game Firebowl Cauldron, requiring 50 iron bars and 10 gold bars to create. Aside from that, it seems to be functionally identical to that base game cauldron. It's a very nice, heavily patinaed square cauldron with some ashen logs beneath it, which do light on fire when a thrall is placed into the ghost slot. In my testing, the logs also remained lit when the thrall was removed. Overall, the cauldron is pretty good. Very nicely designed, recognisably Khitan at a glance, and appropriate for some sorceress activities. My only issue is that it's a reskin of the lower levelled cauldron. I really wish there were 2 versions of reskins like these, almost the same as armour, one for the regular station and another for the improved one, as this one probably won't have a ton of practical use for people who require the utility of an improved cauldron. Aesthetically though, very well made. The Arcane Demon Caller Staff is a reskin of the base game Arcane Staff, which is used for casting sorceries. It is functionally identical to the base game staff, though this version deals 1 more health damage on the melee attack, but, well, who's melee attacking with a staff? Anyway, the staff is very nicely made, mostly gold with some red on the handle and dark wooden accents, with Khitan patternwork at the top and a lotus motif at both the top and bottom. It's a little shorter than the arcane staff, and though I do like the design, it does feel a little less arcane, a bit more ornamental. Overall, a pretty nice reskin of the arcane staff that takes the design down a slightly different route, though it is suitable for the overall style of Khitan sorcery. Finally, the star of the show, the Khitan Demon Caller Armour. This comes in regular and epic variants, and the crafting costs are on screen now. And here are the stats. This armour is in the light armour category. Aesthetically, the armour is functionally identical between male and female models, and is a mix of brown leather with a faded jade coloured cloth and a white highlight. The patinaed mask is really the crown of this, as is the ceremonial looking headdress, and the slight brassy detailing on the fabrics and the metal tie everything together quite nicely. Much like the Khitan New Year clothing, this armour also has some nice pattern work on the rear facing side, a very welcome touch of detail. In terms of dyes, this armour takes them quite well. It has decent colour replication, leaning slightly dark and saturated, thus the black dye is near unusable, many such cases, but most other dyes will work quite well. Unfortunately, you can't dye the brass toned elements, and you also can't dye the mask, which is a bit of a missed opportunity. However, the rest of it dyes really well, making this armour fairly dye flexible. So with all the details ironed out, is the Liu Fei Companion Set worth your money? I will say this set is incredibly cohesive, everything fits together well and suits the sorceress theme. It's all undeniably Khitan and mostly undeniably arcane too. The Khitan culture hasn't gotten that much attention until recently, and to be fair, sorcery has been mostly left alone for a while, though of course it did have a full 9 months of game time dedicated to it a few years back. Whilst this set does fill both of those niches incredibly well, what isn't so magical is the price. $15 does seem a little cheaper than bundles with similar contents, not something I'd say is really noteworthy yet, but it does seem a tiny bit cheaper. However, is the bundle worth 15 bucks? You've probably guessed it already, but I don't think so. For sorcery lovers and Khitan enthusiasts, it will undoubtedly be very tempting, but for the average player, I don't think this set is worth the price. There's nothing wrong with it as such, a couple of things I would have liked it to do differently, but no glaring issues. The only real withholding factor is the price. I do think $15 is too high for this bundle. All in all, for the average exile, no, I do not recommend the Liu Fei Companion bundle. Anyway, that will wrap us up for today. Thank you for watching. I hope this review has helped you to get some more solid info on this new bundle. As always, feel free to let me know your thoughts on the price and the contents in the comments below, and if you enjoy the videos, do check out the Patreon page through the link in the description. There's early access to videos, wallpapers, video credits and much more, and joining us helps out the channel massively. On that note, a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultist for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. Thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.